Okay, good morning.
Good morning!
Just as St. Patrick led the snakes out of Ireland, you guys led people to safety from zombies last week. So today you're going to present your zombie apocalypse readiness team presentations. Through these projects, you guys have practiced some huge academic skills. You combed through websites looking for information and data you needed to create your presentations. You worked together with not only your team, but the other team members to make sure your team project fit the criteria for your grade sheet, as well as the grade sheet of the others. You were creative in how you presented, and we'll see some evidence of that creativity momentarily. And you read and applied lots of content area reading to create your projects. I fooled you. This was a reading and research project disguised as sort of fun. So today you're going to present your projects. I want to remind you that you each have a grade sheet. For instance, pictured here, this is the supplies procurement team's grade sheet. You all have individual grade sheets that you have seen, and I'll be using to score your performance. I also want to remind you that after you give your presentation, you will also be doing a self-assessment as well as assessing each member of your group. So let me show you what these look like again. Here's your group member assessment. It looks like this. You'll be doing one for each person, and this is your self-assessment, which you have seen these before. This is your personal assessment. So after all the presentations are done, you'll be assessing yourself and your group. So we're going to start today with the headquarters team, and then we're going to follow that with the evacuation preparedness team, then the refugee camp organization team, cultural preservation team, domestic pet plan team, civilian education team, and supplies. Obviously, we won't get to everybody's this morning. So whatever we don't finish this morning, we'll finish tomorrow morning. This afternoon, we're going to do limericks in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Also, I want to remind you to please share me onto all your documents you guys have made for your presentation so that I can look at them at home as well. So when we go up to the lab later today to do our limericks, I want you to share me on any documents that you made using Google Docs. I'll give you my email this afternoon, and that way, if I need to refer to them at home, I can. Okay. So, any questions? All right, we're going to start with the headquarters team.
We are the Zombie Survival Headquarters by Jake, Johnny, Andrew, Paul, and Maddie.
Alright, so where's the HQ? We are located in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. We are perched on top of a canyon so that zombies can't reach us from one side of our headquarters. There is a lake not far from the compound that would be used for a water source. And the map, we have a map. The red eyeball stands for our compound, and the blue eyeball is the lake that will be used for a water source.
Okay, it's ideal because the back of our headquarters is right on a canyon, so no one can reach us by that. And if they try and come in any other area, we have a bunch of guns just ready to shoot them down. So.
Okay, so who are we going to bring to our headquarters? So we're going to get one person from every state. Well, not only the inland states, because nobody really wants Alaska or Hawaii in there.
One politician.
So we have one politician, one scientist, biologist. We're going to need some armed forces. We're going to need some selected farmers for farming, domesticated animals, the wealthy who can help us pay, pilots, doctors, indentured servants, mechanics, engineers, historians, writers, and cultural persons such as Chief Keef or John Cena. We're also going to need vets. Okay, so as the government left for the survival of human beings in the U.S., we have chose these selected people to come to the HQ and help us run the battered down country and survive.
Hello. I'm going to tell you about compound security. For the compound, we have 2,000 armed, highly trained Marines to protect us in case anybody wants to wage war, or in case zombies want to try to mess with me. We have a complicated DNA scanner to detect anybody who would have virus that comes into the compound. We got security cameras everywhere, heavy artillery, 200 tanks, 3 hydrogen bombs, 75 drone planes, like a bunch of other stuff that includes bulletproof glass and like huge concrete walls to protect us. And we have a self-destruct mechanism in case it all goes up.
Well, one zombie comes in, we self-destruct.
Yeah, we're gonna self-destruct it in case it all goes downhill. This is for the safety and security of our headquarters, and we're gonna be pretty much invincible.
Unless a zombie gets in.
The supplies we need is obviously food, clothes for seasonal because it'll get cold, coffee to keep us awake, weapons like for the security, generators to keep us have power for us, gas to power the generators, purifier to purify the water, buses, armored vehicles, beds, medicine, seeds for the farming, first aid kits, non-perishable food, kind of fall in the food, tools as like axes and shovels to farm, and toiletries are kind of necessary too.
Alright, so this is the plan for our families. So every family, that's to your politician and your family, is going to get a room, 15 by 15 foot room. It's going to be kind of like a dorm room. And there are going to be 4 bathrooms on each floor, and there's 3 floors. There are 100 rooms per floor. There will be 2 bunk beds in each dorm, and there will be a small dresser for personal items, and there will also be 1 oven for cooking. And these are the people that we feel need to survive.
You have one
Okay, it
responsibility.
doesn't add.
Everyone, come on, we're gonna dance now. Everyone get up.
Freestyle music. Go to their website.
Everyone get up, we're dancing.
Get up, Ryan.
Me?
Everyone, get up.
Alright, our job was evacuation preparation, and our job was to evacuate the major states in the United States. So the population, the ones with population over 10 million had to be evacuated to safer areas. First of all, we would take Texas to the northwest, up to the Rocky Mountains in New Mexico.
Florida would evacuate to the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina.
Illinois would evacuate to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee.
California would evacuate to the refugee camp in Nevada.
New York would evacuate to the north near the Appalachian Mountains in Vermont.
Pennsylvania is going south in the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia.
Ohio evacuates the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia.
And Georgia is evacuating to the Appalachian Mountains in South Carolina.
Okay. For transportation, all the blue are the train courses, and the states smaller than 10 million have buses that evacuate, and they run every hour.
Danger areas, you need to watch out for the coast and any areas that have direct access from large bodies of water and bodies of water that are circled in red.
Alright, refugee camps they're going to be stationed around high elevation areas like the Appalachian and Rocky Mountains and the Smoky Mountains.
Note to everyone near water, we'll be closing all ports. There will be no way in or out of the country. Please advise, if you have any suspicious characters around the border, ignore them and contact us. We also will be grounding all planes in and out of the country.
Safe areas. Please, if you are a state under 10 million people in population, go to your nearest safe zone. There you will find shelter. Also, please pack lightly and bring as much food and water as possible, or you won't know how long the journey will be.
Okay, if you can't get to a safe zone, get to the nearest safe building, and make sure you have enough food and water for at least a month, and have access to a TV or radio to stay up to date on news regarding the apocalypse.
Frequently asked questions.
During a time of outbreak, where would the safest areas, primarily safe zones within the border of the United States, be located? Where would the secondary safe zones be located? The primary safe zones will be in higher elevation places, while the secondary safe zones will be most likely in rural America.
How do you move almost 313 million people to safety? Since the main objective is to evacuate the states with more than 10 million in population, and most larger states use public transportation, we will use public transportation to get them out of their area.
What are the areas the infection would occur first? Most likely, we are predicting California and New York, since they receive the most foreign visitors per year, and they also have, obviously, a population of over 10 million.
How can we protect ourselves from infection at these dangerous zones while protecting individual rights and liberties? Much like the searches that already are in place at airports, travelers will go through checks and searches, but this time to check your current state of health. Those who show symptoms of the zombie virus will be quarantined immediately until they are either confirmed to be a zombie or a healthy person. Those who are healthy will be released, and those that are zombies will be executed as soon as possible.
Survivor resources. Please note that you need to pack lightly and follow the supply guidelines.
Oh, that's it.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Just like St. Patrick led the snakes out of Ireland, you led people to safety with your zombie projects. So we have a fictitious zombie apocalypse, and each of you had a task to save us from the zombies. So today we're going to see the culmination of your hard work. You're going to be presenting your projects to each other. So I tricked you. These projects had you using some pretty big skills. For instance, you had to comb through internet sites to get the data you needed to create your projects. You had to work together with people sometimes that you wouldn't ordinarily work with to make these projects come together. You had to work with not only people in your team, but also other teams. You had to be creative in what you were doing and creative in your presentations to today. So finally, you also had to read and apply lots of content area reading to make these projects. So that's why you had to do these projects. So today you're going to present. I want to remind you that each of you have a grade sheet. Let me show you an example. This is actually the grade sheet for the supplies procurement team. And these will be the grade sheets I will be using to score you today. You've seen these ahead of time and you've worked with them throughout, so I'm pretty confident that you'll do well. Also, when you're done with your presentations, you will be doing a evaluation for each group member in your group, as well as a personal assessment. And these grades are the grades that you'll receive for the Zombie Apocalypse project. So today we're going to start out with headquarters, and we're going to follow with supplies, yay, and then civilian education team, refugee camp, cultural preservation team, domestic pet plan team. Did I call everybody's? Okay. And whatever we do, I didn't call yours. Which one? Evacuation? Okay, evacuation will go after civilian education team. Actually, I skipped it. Thanks. So whoever doesn't get to go today will go tomorrow. And then after that, we'll do our self-evaluations and our group evaluations. Any questions? All right, let's get started.
Okay, for our zombie apocalypse project, we were the headquarters setup. And for our project, we decided to make our own slogan, and it was "Salvation is our motivation." And in light of our recent news that our president disappeared, and so did everyone else in the secession, we had to elect completely new government officials, and in this vote, I received president. Kalani is my first man. She is, Alexa Pinarski is our vice president, and Megan Lamont is our Secretary of State, and Morgan Marculin is our treasurer.
In the map we made, we set up headquarters around the country for each one of the groups as they desired. So our headquarters are set up in Oregon, Kansas, and West Virginia. And art preservation is in Colorado. Supplies, they're in Texas. Evacuation is in Montana.
These are the reasons all of the teams chose where they wanted to be. So for our main headquarters, we chose Kansas because it is in the middle of the country and it is easier for everyone to reach. We did headquarters backup number 1 in Oregon because it has easy access to the West Coast, and headquarters backup number 2 in West Virginia because it is not highly populated and we needed a headquarters on all of the coast. And we had 3 stations buried around the country to record data, and it is directly sent to media so they know what is happening in these locations where headquarters are not located. Art preservation was in Colorado because paintings preserve best in colder climates and there is a low population for little chance of zombies to come. Supplies was in Texas because it is highly populated and people need supplies there, and they also had to operate in Texas. Evacuation was in Montana because it was very mountainous and it wasn't very highly populated, so it was a good place to keep humans safe and away from zombies. Pets were in Georgia because it was an ideal location for animals and it had a lot of land for animals to roam. The refugee camp was in Nevada because it is a desert and zombies wouldn't think to go there. Civilian education is in Illinois because it is a central location and it's easy to obtain data from stations. And we chose that having multiple headquarters as opposed to one is better because they house more people and there are other places to go if one headquarters is invaded or infected.
Our equipment needed is 700 yards of rope, matches, gasoline, computers, including laptops, walkie-talkies, and other high-tech equipment requested by needed personnel. Weapons, we need guns, crowbars, long swords, spears, axes, and chainsaws. Our plan for supplies, all necessary items will be distributed based on population, and items will also be distributed based on certain groups' needs. Weapons will be stored in all the headquarters in case zombies can attack, and extra food and clothing will be stored in case of an emergency.
We need food, as in dried meats, canned foods, dried foods, and non-perishable items. We also need water and toiletries as needed.
Our personnel needed and planned for their families. We need important government officials as needed, most intelligent minds, including tech support people, the highest rated doctors to keep everyone safe and try to find a cure for the zombie bites. Each group's team of people, scientists willing to try and create a cure, and all of the above people mentions immediate family, and all of the above people mentioned will be housed in bunkers built into the designated headquarters.
And this is an image in which our beloved Vice President decided to take time out of her day to go and visit one of these military bunkers and lighten up the days of the people as these are, as we all know, guarded days. Round of applause for our wonderful Vice President. Thank you for your service. Yeah. Our plan for security, all people entering and exiting the building will need to be inspected. Military surrounding headquarters at all times. Any notice of infected people, the headquarter buildings will immediately go into lockdown. Video cameras placed around the headquarter buildings. Any footage of zombies will be sent directly to media headquarters to warn the people. Our plan for medical needs, there is a hospital wing in each headquarters building for treatable ailments. And each hospital wing is equipped with qualified medical staff, which is the highest rated doctors. And for untreatable infected people, there is a quarantine building near each headquarters, and there is a 24-hour decontamination staff.
My name is Sydney, and I approve this message.
Apocalypse, a PowerPoint presentation by Maxwell Hill, Mason Montgomery, Tyler Good, and Shibin Shivu.
Okay, so what supplies would be essential? Food, such as dried meat, dried fruit, canned goods, salt, etc. Weapons, katanas, anything sharp that would allow you to puncture the skull of a zombie. Cooking supplies, spoons, pots, can openers. Medical supplies, bandages, Neosporin, Tylenol, Mucinex, etc. Toiletries, toilet paper, deodorant, feminine hygiene, soap-like products, toothpaste, brush, towels, rubbing alcohol, or regular alcohol if you prefer it that way, etc. What exact supplies would be essential? Clothes. You need warm clothing for the winter months, loose fitting clothing for the summer months, and shoes. For fuel, you need ration your fuel. If you're not using the car at the moment, turn it off. Tools, if your car breaks down or you need to fortify house tools, would be a very good thing to have the time, etc.
Where could we find those supplies? For weapons, we could get guns and ammunition from stores similar to Cabela's in the area. For food, we could gather all the food from local grocery stores and supermarkets and store those foods in refugee centers to be rationed out to the refugees.
What supplies should people bring with them? Well, people should carry a backpack with the essential supplies such as dried cans, foods, liquids, a light source, and weapons to fight off the zombies. And you gotta make sure you're carrying enough to support you, but not enough to slow you down.
Where should supplies go first and second? First, we transport the weapons, clothing, and food to refugee centers set up throughout Texas. Then the supplies should be equally divided between the children, women, and men. If you have a pet, package and send your pet to Atlanta, Georgia, which is now, is it still Atlanta, Georgia? Okay. This is a refugee center for pets. Or should they be kept or created? The supplies should be kept in warehouses like Sam's Club and Costco. From there, they can be sent by Army escort, train, or some other sort of transportation to a refugee center.
Geography. We chose to set up our headquarters in Austin, Texas because it's right next to the Colorado River, which gives us a source of water and transportation.
Recipes for long-lasting foods. Milk. To make 1 quart, put 1 1/3 cups of dry milk in the quart container, and then you add 4 cups of water to the 1 quart mark. Cornbread. 1 package of corn muffin mix, 1 egg, 1/3 cup milk. Preheat to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Base muffin pan. Blend ingredients. The batter should be lumpy. For maximum crown on muffins, let batter rest for 3 or 4 minutes. Stir lightly before filling cups. Fill muffin cups 2/3 full. Bake for 15 to 20 minutes or until golden brown.
And we switched some of the recipes out because eggs in the zombie apocalypse, you might not be able to get them. And milk.
The chicken with cow could be bitten by a zombie.
Okay, plan for distribution of food. We will talk to the government about forcing any private or public-owned vessels to be driven to the mouth of the Colorado River on the Gulf of Mexico.
This is Bloom Johnson. Please dial extension 304. This is Bloom Johnson, extension 304, please.
Are we stopped, Neil?
From there, we will...
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
We're gonna pause. Hold on. I'm gonna make this call. We're back.
From there, we will sail up the rivers, collect supplies from local superstores, retail stores, and any other store. Then we will sail back to the coast and up the Colorado River to our headquarters. Protection of supply routes. We need people trained in weapons used such as guns, swords, spears, crossbows, and basically anything powerful enough to pierce a skull.
So we have a bunch of these keep calm and keep living posters, keep calm and live in La Vida Loca.
La Vida.
Sorry, La Vida Loca. YOLO. And keep calm and live life to the fullest.
Etc. Our presentation.
Right.
Just some things you need to keep in mind.
And then also tell the class what you have for them today.
And then we have some corn cakes, we call them, and some powdered milk for you.
I want powdered milk.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's give my hand, Neil. All right.
Okay.
Last of all, to finish up the zombie project, I wanted to also talk about how each group made their norms, and also each of the groups made a zombie apocalypse readiness team badge, creating some sort of unity for the group. Thank you.